but it's still legal to talk about my Jesus in the public place. The night is coming, people, when no man can work. The way things are going, it may soon be illegal. The night is coming, my friend, when no man can work. I'll work the work of Him that sent me while it is day now. Rise, oh sleeping soldier, rise and take your place again. You know, this is the way we do it each and every time on Kingdom Culture. My name is Buchi, and I welcome you to this very special edition. I have something to share with you. I went to the prison to visit my friend who had been in prison. And as soon as I got into the prison yard, he took me aside, like he had been thinking of this thing. He took me aside and fired a question straight at me. He said, Buchi, what are you doing with your freedom? What are you doing with your freedom? I have been locked up here. You know very well that when I was not here, I was wild. I was incontinent. But do you know that 2 years of prison has done wonderfully well for me? I can't go beyond 200 meters radius. My life from morning till night revolves around 200 meters. Days into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. He had been in prison 2 years. He said to me, now I am healthier. Now I'm fitter. When I had a mile of space to jog, I didn't jog. But since I became confined to 200 meters, I jog every day. I'm healthier in prison than I was when I was out there. And then he said he conceived something while in prison. And without leaving the prison yard, he executed a project outside. A project that a lot of people were benefiting from. Indeed, I'm talking about redeeming the time, like the Bible says, for the days are evil. From the prison, my friend built a church inside the prison yard. From prison. From that prison, he built another facility in the city where people freshly out of prison could stay, be rehabilitated further, and reintegrated into society. He achieved those feats from inside the prison. But when he was not in the prison, those were not the things he wanted to do with his money. He'd rather fly from Nigeria to a nightclub in Dubai, have a good time, and fly back the following morning. He told me of a nudist club situated on a yacht in the middle of the sea. And he would go from Nigeria and fly 6, 7, 8 hours to attend a club, just to be at a nudist club for a few hours, and then he would fly back to Nigeria. Those were the things he did with his money when he was not in prison. But in prison, he refined himself. What are you doing with your freedom? Look at the feat that he achieved while in prison. We can do much more if we would circumcise our liberty from within the prison. He said, but you're not bound. What are you doing with your freedom? That's what my friend asked me. I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. Because I tried now to account for my everyday. What am I doing with my freedom? And I began to extend it. This person is in the hospital, had been in the hospital, unable to walk, But I'm not in the hospital. What am I doing with my health? What are you doing with your health? You're not in the hospital. My friend asked me, what are you doing with your freedom? I extend the same question to you. You're not in the prison yard. You're not locked up. What are you doing with your freedom? There is so much we can achieve when we look inward, when we imprison ourselves, when we curtail our movement, when we circumcise our movement, when we circumcise our liberty. We can, on our own, circumcise our liberty, restrict ourselves, look inward. There is so much within that it appears would not come out except we look within, consciously look within. Prison afforded my friend the opportunity to look inward. And he was able to come up with ideas of things he could do while in prison. He became healthier because while in prison, even where he had limited space, he could now begin to exercise, something he wasn't doing when he was not in prison. What are you doing with your freedom? What are you doing with your liberty? In prison, he could write, but perhaps you're called to be a writer. But the activities of every day, of daily living, have become a distraction to you. Never allow your liberty to become a distraction. Because at the end of the day, what counts is what you do, what you achieve relative to your calling. Not just what you're able to achieve, not how much money you're able to put away in the bank, not how many houses you build, and all of that. I think that when we stand before the Master on the last day, the things that we would be giving account of would be, like the Bible says, the things that we have done in this body, but especially relative to our calling. What has God called you to do? Your liberty, your freedom can become an impediment instead of being a catalyst for you to fulfill your dreams. What are you doing with your freedom? You are not incarcerated. You're not in prison. Do not let your liberty become an impediment to the realization of your vision. It is possible that that visit is not necessary. It is possible that that phone call is not really necessary. It is possible that that activity there, which is not related to your calling, can be done away with. Things that are not directly related to our calling in life, things that are not directly related to that which the Lord would have us do, that family visit may not be as necessary as we think it is. What are you doing with your liberty? That's a question a prisoner asked me. And I have been thinking of it ever since. Whether I'm making music or writing or slowing down on a project, what am I doing with my liberty? Why should my freedom become an impediment to that which matters the most? That for which I would be asked to give account of. Because it is in what He has called me to do that He would demand results. He's not going to ask me to give account in the area that He has not called me. He's not going to ask me how many people I visited, and maybe, but in the core thing that God has called you to do, your liberty, your freedom could well become an impediment if you don't watch it. What are you doing with your freedom? I extend the same question to you. Now imagine how I felt when, after visiting my friend in prison, I was on the streets of Cape Town at a hotel lobby when another young man walked up to me. He just sauntered to me. He wasn't looking good at all. his teeth stained with nicotine, eyes bloodshot. I knew he had been doing some drugs. And then he said to me, prison messed me up. I've been locked up for 19 years of my life, and I've just been released from prison. I said, what are you going to do now? He said, I don't know. I don't know. Prison has messed me up. That's what he said. The same prison that refined my friend has messed you up. I said to him, if you're not careful, liberty could mess you up much more. If you're not careful, freedom could mess you up much more than the prison has done. You're out of prison now. Quit thinking like a prisoner. Stop begging. Do something. What did you wish you could do when you were in prison? Begin to do it now. And for you who are not in prison, I say to you, what are you doing with your liberty? Begging with your liberty? Scrounging? Scavenging? Wasting the time? What are you doing with your liberty? Think about it. God bless you. Thank God it's still legal to talk about my Jesus in the public place. The night is coming, people, when no man can work. The way things are going, it may soon be illegal. The night is coming, my friend, when no man can work. I'll work the work of him that sent me while it is day.